Aiming for £1 million pension pot is a noble aim, and it sounds like a lot of money. No, it is a lot of money, but is it enough for you to retire, and how much income can £1 million pension pot actually generate? In this video, we're going to try and answer this, and we'll give you an idea of the amount of income you may be able to get from both Flexi Access Drawdown or an annuity. Stick around to the end, as I'm going to cover several retirement ages for those of you who are thinking of potentially retiring early. Let's start with drawdown and see what income you might be able to generate taking a flexible income. You can take as much or as little as you like, and the flexibility can allow you to take more income during the active years of your retirement or before your state pension kicks in, and then maybe reducing it in later years when you're in your rocking chair or when your other retirement income kicks in. With drawdown, you can take as much income as you like, so it's hard to say exactly how much income you take, and it's almost going to be wrong straight away. But before you switch off, the best way to accommodate this, I think at least, is to calculate what income you could take each year that would extinguish the drawdown pension at a certain age. In this example, we're going to base it on life expectancy. Using this example, we're going to assume the following then. So we're going to use George. George's life expectancy is age 90, and we're going to set it so that the drawdown fund pays out the same amount each year so that the drawdown pot is extinguished at age 90. I know, the whole point of drawdown is the flexibility and the ability to change your income. The reality is you're never just going to take a set amount of income each year, but for the purposes of looking at the sustainability of the income, I think this is one of the best methods. The income that is taken from the outset, we're going to increase that by inflation so that it maintains its purchasing power. For inflation, we'll just assume 3% a year. We're going to assume the investment returns are 4%, and that's net of all fees. We'll base it on someone who retires at age 65, 60, and then finally 55. The age is important, as someone who retires at age 55, the pension fund would have to support them for an extra 10 years compared to someone who retires at age 65. Okay, so let's start with someone who's age 65 and we'll work our way backwards. For someone looking to retire at 65 with £1 million pension, it's a retirement term of 25 years. Let's get into the numbers then. You could potentially, using these assumptions, take a starting income of £46,000 that increases with inflation. For the pot, if you remember, to be completely extinguished at age 90. By age 74, the pension would still be worth over 850 grand that your beneficiaries could potentially inherit if you croaked it tax-free. We'll assume this chap is entitled to the full state pension of £10,600 a year, so this will be a retirement income of more than £56,500 without even accounting for a spouse or partner's retirement income. At these levels, this could be a fantastic retirement for you. If you have £1 million pension, you may even want to provide a legacy for your family after you've gone. You would have the option with drawdown if you felt a retirement income of 56k was far in excess of what you need, particularly when you get into your later retirement and later years and your spending naturally wanes. You could simply take a smaller amount of income from the drawdown pension and hopefully have a larger pension to pass on and provide a legacy vehicle for your loved ones or whoever you like. On that cheery note, let's look at someone age 60. Age 60, that's more like it, you could say. More time on the golf course and less time in appraisals and one-to-ones. This could provide a starting income of £39,000 per year. Along with your state pension, this could potentially be a combined income of just under £50,000 in today's money. Age 55 could appeal to those of you who are trying to FIRE, that's financial independence, retire early. So if you retire at age 55, and if we assume a life expectancy of age 90 again, and the pension pot runs out at this age, this is a retirement of 35 years in which the pension fund would have to support your income. As this places more of a strain on the pension fund, quite naturally, this may mean you'll have to take potentially less income compared to the previous age examples, unless you wanted to rely on investment returns being as strong as they've been the past 10, 20 years or what have you. At age 55, this could generate a starting income of £34,000 that increases with inflation. If we assume your state pension kicks in, a full state pension, at age 68, this will be a very comfortable retirement income, indeed in excess of £40,000 a year. So let's see a summary of what the potential income £1 million pension could generate for each age. Although you can't rely on these numbers absolutely, it does show you how the longer your retirement, and this could either be retiring early or the more unknown and morbid opposite end of the spectrum, living longer, you may have to spend less. In this example, I've shown retiring at age 55 compared to 65, and this could mean a reduced income of £34,000 compared to the £46,000, which shows you it's a third lower. A rule of thumb that you can use is the concept of the 4% rule. The 4% rule, this originated from a US study in 1994, which found that if you withdrew 4% of your portfolio each year over retirement of 30 years or less, at any time between 1930 and 1970, then historically at least, you would never have run out of money in this period, assuming you invested in a balanced portfolio. This is often referred to as a sustainable withdrawal rate. It's been argued that 4% as a sustainable withdrawal rate is too high and that a more realistic withdrawal rate is closer to 3%. Others would say that 4% is too low and you'd be absolutely fine with a 5% withdrawal rate. You shouldn't use a sustainable withdrawal rate blindly, as it doesn't take into account the amount of time that you'll be in retirement. It doesn't factor one-off items you may have to pay, such as care fees, which could wipe out your retirement savings, and it doesn't even account for investment returns, which could be much worse in the future. However, it's another blunt tool that is useful in your armoury when it comes to thinking about what's a sustainable income to take. Let's see an example of how drawdown can go wrong. So far, it's been all fairies and nice. In this example, we're going to tweak the assumptions from earlier for someone who retires at age 60. But instead, we're going to assume that net investment returns are much worse than expected at 2% a year, and we're going to assume that 7% of the pension, or 70k, is withdrawn from the pension each year initially, and that's again going to increase by inflation. In this scenario, pension would run out at age 74 and would only last 14 years. This could potentially leave you with a very uncertain future in the remaining years of your retirement, particularly if you've become accustomed to the good life. Turning to annuities, we're going to focus on lifetime annuities. With an annuity, you essentially swap your pension fund in return for a guaranteed income that is paid for life. Once you die, the annuity usually dies with you. It is possible to add inflation protection and also a survivor's pension so that the income maintains its purchasing power or can provide a pension for your loved ones. This will usually reduce the starting income. As the income is guaranteed, there's no risk of the pot running out. So for example, with drawdown, if you lived after age 90, you'd have potentially have had no pension under the scenarios we looked at. A guaranteed income solution in the form of annuity can be useful for those who want a guaranteed income or they're uncomfortable with investment risk and volatility. Annuities fell out of favour really after the pension freedoms were introduced in 2015 and because of the simultaneous ultra-low interest rate environment that existed right up until 2020-2021, post-COVID. You can see how the potential income from annuities increased dramatically as interest rates have risen in recent years to combat inflation. The amount of annuity that you can get will depend on many factors such as how old you are. The older you are, the better the rate tends to be, as the insurance company statistically will have to pay you the income for a shorter period of time. Your health's a big factor. If you have any health conditions, you may be entitled to an impaired annuity, which can lead to a higher annuity rate from the outset. As you may be able to tell now, I really do struggle saying annuity. If you add any inflation protection or survivor's pension, this can usually reduce the starting income compared to one that doesn't have these features. The annuity rate will also be different from insurance company to insurance company as they compete for your business. It will depend on the annuity that you choose from the outset, and to illustrate how this can affect the income, I'm going to give two examples. So annuity one, this is a single life annuity with inflation protection. Annuity 2, this will be based on an annuity with a 50% survivor pension that increases with inflation and has a 5-year guarantee. So you can see how the extra frills, as I like to call it, with the annuity option 2 can reduce the initial amount of income compared to the first one. As with the drawdown example, we'll give examples of an annuity purchased at age 55, 60 and 65 to show you how the age at which you retire can affect the starting income. Both assume this is for someone in good health with no health conditions. It's worth mentioning that annuity rates change all the time, as we saw in the graph earlier, so it will also depend on when you retire. As you can see on the screen now, the age at which you retire really does affect the level of annuity income that you may be able to get with your pension. If you retire at 55 compared to someone who retires at age 65, your annuity income could be as much as 40% lower. And interestingly, in these examples, as you can see on the screen now, you get more income with drawdown compared to an annuity. If you have a £1 million pension or you're trying to hit this ambitious target, let me know in the comments how much income you're thinking of taking from your pension, and watch this video to avoid the biggest risks that I see with drawdown. Finally, I'd like to say I've not even contemplated discussing the lifetime allowance, because who knows where we'll be. That's currently been scrapped, but who knows what could happen if a Labour get in, as they're already promising to reverse that decision.